Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the ABM Blueprint. My name is Sarah McConnell. I'm the VP of Demand Generation here at Qualified. And today I'm joined by Sheridan. Sheridan, welcome.
Thanks, Sarah.
And introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody. I'm Sheridan Gaenger, the Vice President of Revenue Marketing right up the street at Productboard. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So today we want to focus on if you're building out, whether you've built an ABM strategy in the past or you're new to ABM, we want to talk about the different steps it's going to take to set up this blueprint for an ABM so you can make this something repeatable and something scalable. So starting first with your strategy, what is the first step that you would do when you're setting up an ABM strategy?
First step is to align everybody, sales, marketing, customer success, your entire go-to-market organization around your ICP, so your ideal customer profile. It's important that you have a focal point, a launch pad to get started with your account-based efforts. And this is something that you would, again, work to develop and refine over time, right? So your ICP is evergreen, right? It's something that you need to be constantly looking at to understand, are these the customers that are going to see success with my product? And make adjustments along the way as you see, for example, shifts in the economy. But starting with your ICP to understand the customers based on your closed won data, you believe these are the customers that you should be going after that are going to lead to quicker sales cycles, higher ASP, higher conversions through the funnel.
That's such a good point. And when I think about setting up an ICP for your strategy, I think as a company, you have like your general ICP. So I'm going to use Qualified as an example. We have like 6,000 accounts that we think we can sell into that match like our firmographic and our technographic data. But I think when it comes to building an ABM strategy, you have to get more niche than that. It can't just be 6,000 accounts. The ICP for an ABM strategy, to your point, is dig a little bit deeper. What's going to progress faster? What's going to be better accounts for you? And really set something that everyone can align around, that these are the right accounts to go after.
And we call them named accounts.
Yeah.
So when you think about an average enterprise sales rep, they can probably work about 50 accounts per month, right? At the high end, usually it can be probably around 40 to 43, I think is the magic number that I've seen. And so you should use your ICP as, again, a baseline to think about how you assign your named accounts, right? There's other things that go into this, your territories, right? Your tenures of your reps, right? You have some strategic accounts that may be mapped to specific reps and specific geos. And so it's good to, again, have that baseline of what that ideal customer looks like, but it's not going to be 100% of your named accounts. It's going to be a part of it. And again, it needs to be fluid. Accounts shouldn't be coming in, they should be coming out. As your account executives are working them, you're going to start seeing signals and make refinements to that list. And again, an average enterprise sales rep should be working between 40 and 50 accounts per month.
That's such a good reference point, because I think it's so easy just to get your ICP, get your target accounts, named accounts, and be like, yeah, rep, here's 300 accounts. This is great. You have a whole bunch to go work. But I think to your point is really looking at what can you realistically work? What's the best for your business? And doing like a bottoms up modeling of not only how many can you work, but how many do we need? How many accounts do you actually need to work to hit your goals? And I think that goes into the next part of this, which is your budgeting. How do you set budgets once you know your ICP and your named accounts?
Yep. So I would say there's probably 2 steps to aligning your budget. The first one is determine what an opportunity with one of your named accounts is worth to your business, all the way from opportunity to close one revenue, and have a baseline. Again, that's a sort of a theme of this conversation to go after, because again, ABM is not a tactic, it's a strategy. There's a lot of other tactics and assets that have to be developed to support this strategy that are going to cost dollars, right? And so that's sort of step one within that step, is to align with your finance partners, understand how much is it worth for me to acquire this customer? Yep. And then 2, when you think about all of the tactics that you need to get in front of and warm up, right? Marketing's job, warm up those named accounts. What are the costs associated with those events?
Totally. And I love you touching on working with finance, because I do think it's so easy to create an ABM budget in a vacuum and just go through all of those tactics and say, well, it's going to cost this much money to run this ABM campaign. But if your finance team hasn't come to you and say, well, this is what an account is worth to us, or here's like the LTV of that account, and you're not having that conversation with finance and you're just not aligned, then either you're spending way too much money to bring in these accounts, or in a best case scenario, you could actually spend more to bring in these accounts because they're worth more money. And we've found that in the past is if those accounts really are at a higher lifetime value, they really are a higher ASP, faster sales cycle, you might be willing to spend more money on them. So work with your finance team, work with everyone involved in setting those budget guardrails. And then the last part is setting guardrails around the key indicators or results.
Yep, the leading and lagging indicators. And I will say, there should be no surprises when it comes to ABM strategy, right? So we talk about your finance team understanding what you're doing and the costs of the activities and the work that you need to do to be able to acquire these customers, right? Another element of no surprise is the results that you're tracking. Yeah. So when you think about all of the activity metrics and those leading indicators, these are key results that you should be aligning on with your partners in sales. Again, marketing should not be creating these in a vacuum. Sales should not be creating these in a vacuum. Whether you have the OKR framework or I think you guys do the B2 Mom framework, right? Framework. Salesforce days, right? Share those key results, circulate them, socialize them, align on them so that when you go into those planning cycles, you are very clear with your partners that these are the key results that we are tracking to. And then we'll talk later in this process around how we're going to report on those.
And I think that one's so important. I think it's so easy to skate by setting the key results and just moving past it and thinking everyone knows what they are. But I found one of the fastest ways to cause misalignment between sales and marketing is if you're running an ABM campaign and marketing thinks this is the result that we're measuring on, but sales has a different idea and they're thinking about something else. And all of a sudden you report on what marketing thinks is this great ABM strategy and sales is like, I haven't had any conversations with any of these accounts. This isn't working. So setting that up early, I think in that stage 1 is so important. So we have that set up and now we're moving on to stage 2 in operations. Let's talk about tech stack. What does that look like?
My tech stack Sunday, as I call it. I'm particular about what technologies that I have used in my past and in my current life, right? When we're thinking about setting up your teams for account-based success. So for example, Salesforce, right? Your CRM, you need somewhere to house all of your records and your customer data. You need a tool like Qualified to understand that intent signal, to clearly have that line of sight into what accounts are showing signal and intent and how do you staff your teams to be able to work those accounts. You need an outreach tool. For example, we use Outreach to be able to communicate with those accounts and drive some of that outbound and inbound activity. And then you need a prospecting tool like LinkedIn. So these are some of the sort of the key marketing technologies, sales technologies that you need to get started, but there's a lot of other flavors out there. You need something to house your data. You need to understand the signals of those accounts. You need to be able to prospect accordingly, right? And you need to be able to obviously report on all of your leading and lagging indicators. So again, lots of different flavors. Figure out which ones work for you, but there's some great technologies out there to support it.
And we talked about data
and dashboards.
Yes.
When we think about the key results, we just talked about leading and lagging indicators, right? It's important that both your reps, your sales reps and your marketing reps, right? Your campaign managers, anybody that's involved in this process and this strategy have a line of sight into the activities that, again, you've aligned on with your partners in sales that they can report on every day. There should be no surprises around what good looks like. Yep. And every rep, every manager, every marketing counterpart should be able to go in and day out and understand how you're pacing against your goals. And again, what is progressing and what needs more support. The dashboards become your point of reference for improvement. Your dashboards become a point of reference for celebration when you're hitting those wins as a team. You can, again, reference those in collaboration with your partners across sales and marketing to demonstrate the success of your accounts moving through.
Yep. And what I love about when we were setting up this blueprint is having the dashboards early in step 2. And then later we're going to get into step 4, which is execution, which normally you would think, okay, that's where you have the reporting and dashboards. But I think building them early in your ABM strategy and campaign building, because to your point, there should be no surprises. If you're building that dashboard when you're already done and all of a sudden you're looking and people aren't aligned on it, then that's going to be a problem. The other thing that I like to talk about here when we talk about dashboards is it's not just one dashboard. You can have multiple dashboards for your org. And with a good ABM strategy, you probably should. You're going to have your exec dashboard. What are the quick hits, the things that your exec team cares about? But then you've got your nitty gritty, the things your marketing team, your ops team, they're going to dig into to look for, small red flags and things, or tracking more of those like granular things that's happening in the ABM campaign. You can build multiple dashboards. Just make sure you build them early and then make sure you have one place that's housing all those dashboards so you can always go find
that
them
source of truth
as a source of truth.
Yep. I mean, we've all been there. I was looking at that report, but I was looking at that report. Like, that'll just slow you down.
And I'm typing into Salesforce and I type in pipeline generation. I've got 72 reports.
Five pop up, right? Which one? What I like to do is actually in like our OKR trackers or in some of our like OKR slides that are circulated across the company is we link our source of truth report so that any given day, an executive or another member of the go-to-market team, if they're curious to understand how a specific program or strategy, account-based marketing is working, right, they can pull that up and be able to self-serve. That's another important sort of benefit that a dashboard provides is that ability to self-serve. But again, no surprises. Everybody needs to be on the same page. Align on that source of truth as part of that step 2 in the strategy before you get moving, because I can tell you it's so hard to go back and try to like retro and fix and recommunicate all of those things. Do it at the beginning.
We've been there. We've done that. Learn from our mistakes. Don't do it. So you've got your dashboards built. We've gone through step 1, step 2. Now I think this is the most fun part, which is the tactics. You said earlier, there's like your strategy, which is ABM, and then there's like tactics within it. So when you think this is like the hardest part for teams to grasp, when you think about tactics for ABM, how do you think about some of these? How do you think about bringing all these teams together to actually execute on this ABM campaign or strategy?
I think of it as a framework, right? As sort of like a multi-level, like you're building your house, and at the bottom floor is your positioning and your messaging. And so a lot of times you think, oh, we just start with campaigns, or we start building ads, and we go to this event and we try to focus on these accounts. Actually, it's how are you going to be reaching those accounts? Yep. And product marketing is an imperative partner in this entire process. So when you think about your ICP and you think about your named accounts, you'll have a clear profile of the accounts that you're going to be going after. Could be multiple profiles depending on what your sort of spectrum of named accounts looks like, but PMM needs that. They need to understand it so that they can do research against either industries or against some closed-won analyses to be able to put together thoughtful positioning that is going to be the baseline for your campaigns and your sort of tactical execution. So you have to start with PMM.
I love that. I do think one of the bigger mistakes that's made in ABM strategies or ABM campaigns is just forgetting to bring in the product marketing team. I think, especially if your org has someone that owns just ABM, I think it's easy for other people in the org to think ABM is just one singular function, but it is someone that has to work. They have to quarterback across so many different parts of the department. And product marketing, who knows your ICP better? They know their pain points. They know what's going to reach them at different stages of the journey. So I could not agree more. Starting with product marketing is like the foundation first and foremost. And then what's next?
What's next comes the campaigns and content, right? And again, when we think about, all right, you have this blueprint or this framework for your positioning, right? There's consistency across everything that you do, because we know as buyers, the more you see things in the same way, right, in the same sort of story, it resonates. And so it's important, again, that PMM comes first. They give you that framework, and then you can start building out the content. And when you think about content, you really need to understand across this whole profile of named accounts, where are they in their journey? Yeah, right. This is where a tool like Qualified comes in, right? You can understand what accounts are showing signal and what accounts are potentially cold that you need to warm up, and develop the right content, whether it's top of funnel, middle funnel, or bottom of funnel, to be able to align to them and help them move them through to the next point in their journey. And then you have your campaigns, right? You can, provide digital air cover. We just launched Qualified for advertising to understand, that digital journey that your named accounts are going through to, again, provide a better opportunity to have those specific discussions. You can think about events. So one of the tactics that we are executing currently at Productboard is we have an amazing field marketing program. ABM can tack on to field marketing. So we'll look at 6 months out at all of the programs across the world and understand where the concentration is of our named accounts. And then we'll do thoughtful localized activity. Everybody is excited to be out. They're excited to do dinners, excited to go to a ball game, right? We're coming up to spring. So thinking about different ways that you can engage with your named accounts in a very thoughtful and intimate way is a great opportunity at a low cost, right? Yeah. So when you think about 10 or so folks that you want to engage with, again, partnering with field marketing on some of the tactics to get in front of them in such a unique setting is definitely something that we're testing and trying this year. And then there's obviously a variety of other marketing tactics that you can weave in. But again, you can't do the tactics without the product marketing.
Absolutely.
So that's sort of the segue.
And I think the content piece too, going back to that, is so important. I think one of the things that I've made mistakes doing is trying to launch a full-blown ABM strategy and realizing we don't have the right content based on where they're at. So we did all the steps of figuring out our ICP and our named accounts, and then we thought about where they might be in their buyer's journey and the pain points, and worked with product marketing. But then we looked at the content we had and realized we didn't have enough content. So I think thinking through this blueprint early and pinpointing where are the gaps in your content, where are the gaps in, based on your named accounts and your ICP, what you might need to be telling these people in the content that they want to consume and the channels that they want to consume, and making sure you're taking that into consideration as you're building that out. And then also the field marketing piece, so important. I couldn't agree more that people are just excited to get out there, and events are just coming back in full speed. Case in point right here.
Which leads us to the next step, and making sure it's housed in a place that's easy for sales to access, right? So think about it. If we just said an average rep is working 50 accounts, like they got a lot on their mind. They're trying to do a lot of different things and partnering with their ADRs. They're monitoring their qualified signals to understand when they can pounce on those accounts. And then they'll forget, like, what's happening next?
There's so many things.
Like, there's so many things. Like, I thought we had a ball game. Is that coming up? I know it's spring. You need to house it in a calendar. Like, not every little thing, but at a high level, any sales rep, any marketing member should be able to go in and understand what is happening. And I'm not talking just the account-based activities, right? That is a layer. That is a section in the calendar, because we want to be leveraging all of the things that are happening across marketing to be able to engage these accounts. So having a sales-friendly calendar, you can build in a variety of different tools. Make sure that it's socialized often. One practice that we've developed at Productboard is every Monday, we do a marketing announcement across all of our key sales channels. And we say, if you are looking to drive cold accounts, here's some top-of-funnel content or some top-of-funnel activities that you can execute to be able to warm them up. Or if you're trying to move people through sort of that middle stage, here's some events or some webinars or new case studies that we have. Or if you're looking to, again, bring them through to sort of that bottom of funnel motion, here's a new demo video. It's great to continue to communicate, which is another part of this strategy that we'll get into in more detail, but housing it in a referenceable, self-serving calendar.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, it is a way to go, and people will use it. They just need to be reminded that it exists, which is why we have that Monday reminder.
So last couple minutes here, moving on to step 4, now that you've got all the things that you're going to do, all those tactics, you have it in a calendar where sales can reference. From an execution standpoint, what are the top things that you would focus on from an execution standpoint once you start this strategy?
It's not lunch. There's something that comes before lunch, and that's training your reps, right? So we talked about dashboards, we talked about tools, we talked about content. People need to be trained on that, right? And you can't assume, no surprises, right? You can't assume that people are going to know what you expect of them, right? So you need to work with your sales managers, you need to work with your enablement team, if you have an enablement team, and bring them through this journey. This is all the things that we expect you to do. Here's the tools that are at your disposal. Here's the content that we are launching. Here's how to leverage it again in those different stages of your funnel. Here's how to understand what accounts are, showing signal and qualified, for example. No question should go unanswered before you launch, right? And so you need to be able to train them. You also need to give them the mechanism to get their questions answered once you do launch. So think about office hours. So we have office hours where different sales members could meet with different members of our marketing ops team or our marketing team. One of our team members, Lily, hosts qualified office hours. So as we are continuing to ramp the team up on some of the new functionality with the pipeline cloud, we're giving them that opportunity to get their questions answered, and so that they feel confident and excited about everything that's coming up. So step 4 is to train your reps, right? And be accessible to them when they have questions.
Perfect. Okay, we've got like 40 seconds left. In the last 40 seconds here, last part of execution that you're like, we have to hit on this. And then we obviously have the blueprint for the team, which or for the attendees here, which I will.
So then you launch, celebration, you launch, you get your ads up, you get your activities planned, you get your content in the market, right? Then you communicate often.
Yeah.
So Madeline Crowley, who heads up our account-based programs at Productboard, sends messages every Monday and every Friday. Mondays, here's what's coming up. Fridays, here's what happened. And she also communicates one-on-one with the reps when she sees accounts that are showing signals. So keeping that constant pulse with the sales organization around what's happening and what is some things to look forward to. So communicate, and then report. Whether it's your monthly digest, whether it's your quarterly business reviews, whether it's participating in your sales all hands, bring people into the results, even maybe when the story isn't great. Bring people in, help them feel like they understand what is happening. Again, no surprises. I think that's a key theme of this conversation today, and make sure that those reports are the ones that are in your source of truth library, so that people can reference them often.
I love that, Sheridan. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think the Sunday analogy was my favorite part of this, and I think no surprises. I'm going to keep reminding myself when I'm building things, no surprises when it comes to ABM campaigns. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Sheridan.
Thank you.
For those of us who are interested, we actually did build out the ABM Blueprint. So the things that we talked about today, we actually have it as a resource in the resources tab that you can go download as something to take home with you to reference as you start building out your next ABM campaign. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we will see you soon.